This is called Letter to a Friend. Hello, my friend. Recently, you paid me a great compliment. I don't believe you realize the impact of your words, not because I doubt your intention or sincerity. The praise came unexpectedly, and the significance of our conversation came to me during quiet hours of reflection. Over dinner, you had mentioned that another friend of ours had asked about me. This intrigued me since I had also thought about her and wondered why she hadn't responded to my message. As I listened to you describe time spent with our mutual friend, the conversation that took place in my absence included you saying that you didn't know what was going on with me, elaborating that ever since I returned from my last trip that I was behaving differently and you were baffled. Again, I was intrigued and also confused as I continued to listen. In my mind, I reflected on the conversation you and I had not too long ago, where I shared many updates on the happenings in my world, and you in turn disclosed the goings on in yours. Had you forgotten? Perhaps so. After all, we are both mature adults who value our independence, enjoy living alone, and marvelous minds like ours tend to wander. After our evening ended and I had dropped you off at your door, I wondered why this female friend of ours hadn't asked me directly how I am, and why my text, which I know she received, is still unanswered. Asking you this question seemed unimportant at the time, as our conversation went off into the unexpected tangents and predictable rants. We tend to show one another a bit of grace due to having busy lives and the growing excuse and reason of our declining memory. Had she, you, or I simply forgotten? The situation was unimportant, though our chat continued to gnaw at me and cast a shadow, muddling my thoughts, until I realized that this distraction steered me away from acknowledging the compliment you paid to me. Do you remember this? Back to our dinner chat. I recounted my last trip and an extraordinary experience that took place, which prompted me to set more challenging goals to improve the quality of my life. I reminded you of this and shared my progress by pointing to the chart taped on the kitchen cupboard door. It was at that moment I saw the look of awareness and recognition warming in your eyes, that silent moment between us saying, "Ah, yes, I remember now." Your concerns are appreciated and unfounded. My writing to you helps us both to remember. Thank you for the validation that I didn't necessarily need or want, although it reaffirmed my conviction to move forward and lighten my load. Achieving goals at a quicker pace is encouraging at this stage in my life. Preparing for retirement with visions of travel and the possibility of being a grandmother motivates me. As our dinner continued and conversation turned, I recall disclosing that fear was also a motivating factor. So yes, my friend, you are correct in saying that there has been a big change in my life. Something significant and frightening happened on levels that I don't feel the need or desire to express. We are the unlikeliest of friends, you and I. Polar opposites are how I and others often describe our friendship. And yet we have known one another and shared space for over 2 decades. I appreciate that we live our own lives and may experience extended periods of time before seeing one another. We can easily catch up without needing to justify our absence. You are not a high-maintenance friend, and I, more often than not, prefer my own company. Friendships like ours evolve over time, whereas other connections I have made were fleeting, or, as I have mentioned before, followed the adage of people showing up in my world for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I prefer the mystery of not knowing whether a friendship will last or not. Enjoying the company of another and taking the moment for what it is feels fitting. The longest relationship I have ever had and ever truly wanted is the relationship I have with myself. The sentiment of wanting to be my own best friend hasn't gone over well with many people I have known. That is why I am particular about who I spend my time with. I am content and self-assured, which has aligned me with specific male friends, like yourself, rather than friends of my own gender. Perhaps that is the reason why our mutual female friend chose to sidestep a reply to my text and sought you out as mediator. To our female friend, I say thank you for the subtle message acknowledging our social differences. She and I share space with you quite well. You are the mediator needed for our trio to be harmonious. Thank you for bringing connection and diversity to my world. Our polar opposite connection is the mirror that fascinates me and leads me to reflections like this that enlighten us both. See you soon. That letter that I wrote came about after a sleepless night. And I had mentioned it to my friend, saying that I was inspired, that an evening out, a conversation we had, inspired me to write something that I felt would strengthen our relationship. My name's Tiffany Anderson, if you don't know, and this is your first time watching my channel. I am a published author in the field of health education and nonfiction, and some of my fiction and poetry writing has rarely, if ever, gotten published, and this letter was published. I was a bit nervous when I shared this letter with my friend, not knowing what the result might be. The friendship ended, and shifted to a level of dismissal that I didn't expect. And I would certainly rather step away from a relationship when there's no space given for compromise and negotiation. Because after all, that's what a healthy relationship requires. And I have never been the type of person who seeks clones of myself, a clone of myself, in order to share space and enjoy the company of another adult, whether it's just an activity partner or a companion for travel, whatever the case may be. The friendship with this person ended so abruptly that it challenged me to examine what it is that I was actually looking for and hoping to achieve. And that is where I take this conversation again to the level of self-respect and knowing that what I am seeking and what I value and asking for that mutual companionship, that's not unreasonable. That is not a demand. That is I was going to say call for help, and that's not that's not right. It was a request. And to be ignored and disregarded was surprising. And when I say I was humbled, that's where I'm wondering for any other adult out there, especially for those of us who are at a stage in our life when we are finding ourselves aging solo. I am living alone, and I have lived alone for a long time. I have been an empty nester for over 2 decades, and I do prefer my own company. There are times when having an activity partner is nice, though I don't need it. There's a difference between needing it and wanting that. And the community that I have and being selective about people that I choose to spend my time with, that is how I am valuing myself, because my time is very valuable. I know what works best for me now. And that's very important as we get older. If anyone out there is listening and you're perhaps a caregiver and wanting to ensure that an older adult that you are caring for, and perhaps they don't live nearby or you're just checking in on them, reassuring them and understanding that as they set boundaries and knowing that they are living their life as they see fit, that's a really important boundary for an older adult. Especially if you're managing health concerns, there's a loss of dignity that comes about as we get older and feel that we are less visible to the world, or if there's a ridiculous number of medical appointments and you feel that it's a never-ending calendar of feeling like you're a lab rat, being poked and prodded and feeling frustrated. The boundary setting is the aspect that we have control over, and that does provide dignity. If you've watched this far, thank you for listening. I hope this brought some ideas to light, some insights for yourself and for the boundaries that you are setting and maintaining in your own relationships. And whether you have a large group of people at home, a few people at home, one other person at home, just yourself at home, the relationship that you have with yourself is indeed the most important relationship. And caring for yourself is crucial. And I believe that we can all age gracefully with dignity. Thanks for watching.